Okay, so ignore the mess. Whatever. It's a giant mess. Anyways, I'm gonna do a quick little video on how to spread the cards out. I guess quote unquote professionally. There's a number of different ways of doing it. For me personally, this is the technique that I use. It looks like this. If I'm doing this kind of like at work, I'll do it like this. And I do this when I'm spot checking the deck. The deck isn't suited, but we'll pretend. It would look something like this. Usually I have a bit more space, but this gets the point across. You'll have half the deck split like this, half the deck split like this. You check it, flip it over. You'd half the deck like this, half the deck like this, and then you go into a big wash and all that fun stuff. So the technique I use for spreading the cards is something that I kind of, it's not my technique, but it's something that I kind of came up with on my own, just kind of messing with the cards. And I'll show you a bunch of different ways of doing it in this video. But the main thing that I want to get across to you is there isn't one correct way of doing it. There's a couple ways of doing it, and you got to find the way that suits you the best. That being said, the one I'm going to show you first is the one that suits me the best. Like I said, I'll show you a couple different after the fact, but you know, we'll move on from there. And I have 2 decks out just so I can show you kind of the differences between like how certain decks feel. This is a plastic bicycle deck, so if you can see, like, you can bend the hell out of them and they go back to perfectly fine. This is a 100% plastic deck, just like they use in the casinos. It's just a bicycle brand deck. And this one, same thing. It's a 100% plastic deck, but it's a Bullet brand deck. They're a bit higher quality than the bicycle decks, or even Copex. I think these are better than Copex, but anyways. Getting onto the actual technique that I use. It looks like this. Doing it simply, that's just the spread. The way you go about doing it is like this. And this is how I've explained it to a couple people, and they seem to pick up on it pretty well. So hopefully this is a sufficient explanation of it. You're gonna grab the deck as if you're gonna shuffle it. Like, just grab the deck, get into your kind of normal shuffle grip. Whether you use 2 fingers on the front or just 1 finger on the front, doesn't really matter. The shuffle or the spread works better, generally speaking, with 2 fingers on the front like this. But if like you can also do it with just the middle finger here, and I'll demonstrate that now. It would look like that. It's the same spread, just it's a little harder to control. So when you're first starting out with this technique, I would recommend getting in this grip. You would pick your dominant hand. Well, actually, spreading the deck is usually best with the right hand, just because when you turn it over like this and spread the deck, the faces are towards you. If you were to do this the other way, not that I can, but they would be faced out from you. So I'm gonna teach this to you in your right hand. So here's the grip, and here's how you're gonna get into it. So you're gonna grab the deck as if you're gonna shuffle it with 2 fingers on the front, and your pinky is gonna be on the short edge here. And then simply, you're just gonna take away your left hand, and now you're in the perfect grip to spread the deck. It's a shuffle grip, but missing a hand. And I'll show you kind of more up close what that grip looks like. You've got the pinky supporting the short edge on the back. You have the middle and the ring on kind of the corner here, kind of clumped up nicely there. And the first finger is curled on top. Now the first finger is very important for this spread, because if you watch how I do it, if you look at the positioning of the hand, the knuckle of the first finger is pressing down into the deck. And that's what allows you to do the spread. If I stick my first finger out, this is gonna be weird, but I'm gonna try it. You can see kind of what happens to the cards. They don't spread nicely. It's not, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just weird. You can't do it without a downward pressure. And that pressure comes in this technique from the first finger, or the literally the knuckle of the first finger pressing into the deck as you drag it across the table. Like that. Now I'll show you why I'm using 2 decks here. And the reason is because if I just let these kind of spread, they do it, but it's very clumpy, you see? But with this deck, this is a lot smoother of a deck. Even though it's a plastic deck, it's a lot smoother. It's a lot more like slick and slippery. But as you can see with the spread, we'll ignore that. With the spread, you can get a nice even spacing throughout, no matter the quality of the deck, using this technique. And the reason for that, you're not relying on the slickness of the cards themselves to get this spread. You're relying on that downward pressure and the constant motion. I'll explain it like this. If I do it slowly, it can still be done, but it's a lot more uneven. Like, I'm not gonna bring the camera up close, but if you pause the video and kind of zoom in on it, you can see like right here it's a little closer, right here it's a bit further, and then closer, and then closer, and then further apart, and like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like, it's a lot harder to get a good flow with it if you do it slowly with a clumpy deck. That's why the speed of it really matters. Like if you compare, I'll do it slow. If you compare that to that, it's a world of difference. And that's why even with a slick deck, it helps to have a slick deck like this. But you don't really need it. You know, like, it's one of those things where once you get good at the technique, you can just rip it out. But anyways, let me explain a little bit on how to actually do the spread, because the grip is one thing, but if you don't know how to rip it out like that, it's kind of useless. So the way you're gonna go about doing the spread is like this. So once you get into this grip here, you're gonna plant the deck, and depending on how you wanna do it, if you're doing it professionally at work, I would back myself up from the table and go at an arm's length here. That way it goes in a nice arc, and I'll show you what that looks like. The arc goes from here to here, and the deck is basically like, it's sideways compared to me. Like, it's in like a nice box here. But when I'm at home and I'm just doing this, I do it like this, and you can see the difference. It kind of runs the length of my surface here. And the reason for that is how close you are to the deck, or to the table. So when you're practicing this, if you want to practice it in a sort of simulated professional environment, take a couple, like maybe like 6 to 8 inches, maybe a foot back from the table, depending on, you know, just certain variables. But do the spread at an arm's length. Because if I do this, if I don't do the spread and I just show you, look at the angle that it's at now, and then I run across like this, and look at the angle it's at now. It goes in this nice arc across the table, like this. So the way you're gonna actually make this spread happen is like this. Once you have the deck planted here, you're gonna kind of, it's hard to describe. I'll show you using one card. You're in this grip with the deck, and notice the thumb is at sort of an angle to the cards. Once you plant that down, your thumb raises, and now it's more horizontal, or like perpendicular to the card like this. And it's that singular point of contact that causes the immediate release of this card. Because if I'm here and I just come up like this, that card stays put. You see that? I'm applying a downward pressure with the first finger, the knuckle of the first finger to the back of this card. And once I plant it, it doesn't move. And that logic applies to the whole deck as you drag this out. So if I'm here that bottom card doesn't move. And doing it slowly doesn't help, but it'll get the point across. That bottom card doesn't move, 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 and so on. And it's all from this pressure downwards, and the thumb being straight, kind of like perpendicular to the table, the thumb dragging it across in an arc like this. So it's here, out like that. That was kind of an ugly spread. Kind of like that. One more time, like that. Now, there are other ways of doing the spread. That's my preferred way of doing it. Rarely will I ever do it any other way. But the way that I was taught to do it in dealer school is like this. You put the deck on the table at sort of an angle like this. And you make a fist. You straighten your thumb, and then you plant your fist on the deck. And then the knuckle of the thumb is contacting here on the deck itself. And you use that knuckle to drag to drag the spread out. And the same concepts apply to this spread and to the one I just showed you. You're using the downward force of your fist and the contact of the knuckle on the cards to get them to spread out like this. So that's another way of doing it. You'd come here, and I wish I had a bigger surface, but you know, it is what it is. You come here and spread it out like that. Another way of doing it would be like this. This is kind of a more like magician-y way of spreading the cards, but it looks like that. Again, it's not my preferred way of doing it, but you know, it is another method. And this way of doing it, they tell you not to cap the deck in dealer school, which is the deck is in a dealer grip here, and your right hand comes over and grabs the deck like this. This is called capping the deck, and in 99 out of 100 times that you're holding a deck, you will never do this. This is one of those times where you do this. And the reason, once you cap the deck, you let go of the deck with your deckhand, you extend your first finger, and now the first finger is kind of the mechanism behind spreading the deck. And this applies in that kind of arc that you want to go for when you're spot checking the deck. So you're here, you grab the deck, straighten the first finger, and you drag it across using the downward pressure of your first finger. And like, so this is funny because it's kind of like the one finger does the whole thing instead of first finger and thumb, or knuckle, or like fist and thumb to do the spread. This is just the first finger. We'll ignore that. This is just the first finger pressing down and dragging across the deck there to make the spread. And it works. It works. It definitely is a way that you can do it. For me, it's not preferable because it's hard for me to get a nice, like, even spread like that. That's kind of gross. If you were, it looks okay on camera. If you were here in person, you would look at this and go, that's kind of gross. Because it is. From here to here, really wide. From here to here, really close together. From here to here, really wide. From here to here, really close together. There's a lot of shit about this spread that I don't like. So that said, the spread that I use, the spread that I will probably use forever, is this one. It just works for me. But, like I said in the beginning of the video, I didn't want to leave you with a technique that maybe doesn't suit you. So I wanted to give you kind of most of the ways that I know to spread the deck that, you know, might be better for you. As kind of like a bonus, I'll show you this. I'll show you two more. This way is basically the reverse of this way, the first one I showed you, where in this version, the deck starts here and goes away from you. In this variation, the deck starts away from you and comes towards you. It's the same grip, only instead of using the thumb and first finger to make the spread happen, you're using the middle finger and the first finger to make the spread happen. So it drags across like this. If you can ignore the thumb, ring, and pinky, it looks like this. It's the flat middle finger, and then you're pressing down literally with the whole like top of the first finger like this, and that causes the deck to spread out like that. Now, the last way I'm going to show you, I do not recommend, but it is fun to practice. It uses a spring motion. If you're familiar with this, it uses this concept to spread the deck out. It's very nice, it's very pretty, but it doesn't work with every deck. If the deck is super old, not gonna happen. If it's clumpy, more than this, not gonna happen. But I will show you how to do it. So, middle finger, thumb, pinches the bottom pip corner of the deck like this. You squeeze inwards, plant the deck, and just drag it across. That's as much as I'm gonna go into that. It's a hard technique. I don't use it much, but that is what it is. That's all I got for you. Hopefully that's good enough, but we will see.